Death has been deeply studied in the Upanishads. If you want to understand the value of life, you have to look into what is death. You are more mind than body, and you are more awareness than mind. Advaita Vedanta will tell you you are only awareness. Reincarnation can happen if you are incarnate now and you lost this incarnation and now you reincarnate in some other body. But think and see, are we incarnate now? We are functioning through a body-mind complex. But are we the body-mind complex? Near-death experience. You are actually watching your own death. For the dying person, there is no death. The death concept only occurs for the onlooker. For the dying person, he is actually passing out of that physical frame and carrying on. If you study the typical near-death experience, they describe they are moving now through a tunnel. At the end is a bright light, and then somebody guides them through that light into some other realm, and they are very happy in that state. In the Pravrajika Divyanandaprana, there's a graphic picture of the state of death. There they will tell you that at the last point, he actually graphically sees each of his actions. Page after page, you see what you actually did. Maya, the technical definition is ya ma kintu pratiyate iti maya, which is not there, but affects you. Ultimately, we are seeing through a lens, and the lens is the mind. The finite mind is interpreting reality for us. If you want to see reality as it is, you must put the lens aside. There is no cause to Maya, but there is an end to it. Mind is a phantom, and the one who sees this in real first-person experience is the self.
Namaste, Pravrajika Divyanandaprana.
Namaste.
It's truly a privilege to have you back on the show. I'm excited to dive into a range of topics with you, both philosophically and practically, and I'm grateful for your presence. Welcome to Under the Tree.
Thank you for having me here. It's a joy to meet you all.
Thank you. Mataji, I would want to start the podcast by talking about a subject that many people are afraid of, death. In the Katha Upanishad, for example, the dialogue between Nachiketa and Yama offers profound insights into death, stating that the self is unborn, eternal, and beyond decay.
Right.
How do these teachings help us understand what truly happens at the moment of death, and how can they guide us to face death not with fear, but with the thought of liberation?
That's a beautiful question. In fact, if there was no death, perhaps there would be no religions. We take life seriously when we know, there's an end to it. And it's brief. Even if it's for 100 years, it's within the bound of time. So you see, death has been deeply studied in the Upanishads. Not just the Katha Upanishad, other Upanishads also in the Brihadaranyaka you'll find. Why is it that, you see, all thinking people will, if you want to understand the value of life, you have to look into what is death. And according to these philosophies, they will tell you, see, it all comes to your understanding of what the human personality is. Who is the human being? Or what is the human personality about? Am I just the body? Am I the mind? And is there something called a soul, the Atman, anything like that? Or is it just conjecture and speculation? Because you see, I can feel my body and my mind. But do I feel the soul? Many people ask these questions.
Yeah.
But if you think a bit deeply, you will see you are only self-aware fundamentally. You are only self-aware. You only feel self-aware within yourself. And in that self-awareness, you think. So thoughts arise in awareness. Even your perception of body and the world of objects arises in awareness. Once you are able to grasp this as a first-person observation or experience, then you will immediately understand, then my real nature must be awareness, and I'm wearing the mind and the body as we are wearing clothes. So then death will be understood in a totally new light now. If this becomes an original observation, then our understanding of death will be, you see, death is just the separation of this, what is called Annamaya Kosh, from the rest of you. You are more mind than body, and you are more awareness than mind. In fact, Advaita Vedanta will tell you you are only awareness, in which you find a body-mind, and you tend to identify with it, and that is why you think you have an identity in the body and mind. So it's all a huge assumption because we haven't seen, awareness closely. That's why this first person inquiry and deep observation leading to the intuition of your true being is very, very important. Otherwise, we'll always be scared of death. Because we think we are the body, and this is completely, uninvestigated thought. I told you, it's an assumption. Because we were told from childhood, you are a body, you are so and so, this is your name. So we take our identity to be that, and we don't investigate into the nature of the self. So then death causes fear. For most people, they don't want to know much about death. So then the philosophy of life becomes, well, make the most out of your life. Don't worry about all these things which we don't know anything about. But it lies in our own experience to see closely what death can mean.
Beautifully said, Mataji. And I'm so happy the way you explained it, like it's changing clothes, because that's what it truly is.
Yeah.
We are so, for lack of better words, we're very obsessed with this body and with this form that we forget that.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, once you realize that we aren't this body is just the localized consciousness, and death is just gonna delocalize that consciousness, and you'll spread into that one. I wanted to move on and talk about reincarnation. I wanted to ask you, how should we understand reincarnation, the cycle of birth and death, not just as a metaphysical concept, but as a pointer to our deeper identity beyond the body and mind?
Right. So you see, this is the question for most people. See, reincarnation can happen if you are incarnate now and you lost this incarnation and now you reincarnate somewhere in some other body. But think and see, are we incarnate now? Right now, here, while we are sitting here, you see, we are functioning through a body-mind complex. But are we the body-mind complex? Think and see. In your first-person experience, always you will only feel you are self-aware fundamentally. I tried this experiment on many, teenagers and young people, and always I got the right answer. I would ask them, what is the most fundamental thing in your experience? Is it your thought? Is it your body consciousness? Is it your memories or some emotion? Or is it your awareness? And they always gave me the answer, Mataji, our awareness feels most fundamental. So, you see, we are self-aware entities functioning through a body-mind complex. And we are not actually, incarnate, which means fully being in the body and mind. This being so, the question of reincarnation, you see how Hindu philosophy understands it is, when you leave the body, what leaves the body is the Sukshma Sharir, the subtle body. Subtle body consists of your mind and the bundle of sanskars and all that which you carry, and the Manomay Kosh and Vijnanamay Kosh, Anandamay Kosh, and the awareness in which all this drama is happening. So reincarnation means this entire package goes into another body. According to our karma and our sanskars, we kind of choose bodies unconsciously. Yeah. And actions ripple across lifetimes. So our actions finally decide, karma phal, what is called, finally decide where we will incarnate. But there also, you see how many ever times we may reincarnate, you are not actually coming completely encased in a body. You took up a body, now you're functioning through that equipment. But you, the real you, is always quite apart from body and mind. But this knowledge must come as a first-person experience. That is why real inquiry, investigation, and spiritual practice is required. Otherwise, consciously we may be thinking of Vedanta, subconsciously we are quite attached to the body-mind complex, and unconsciously we are actually functioning as a persona. This can happen. It's like a split personality disorder.
Very well said, yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for sharing. I hope that this will definitely clarify the concept of reincarnation for our viewers. Because we are talking about death, we have touched upon reincarnation. The aspect and concept of out-of-body experiences near death is very talked about these days, especially due to social media. And it would mean a lot if we can get a clarification about that from your end. According to you, how does Vedanta interpret near-death experiences or out-of-body experiences? Are these glimpses of deeper reality or simply the mind's projections?
These are glimpses of higher reality in the sense, what happens is, see, when we call it a near death experience, you are actually watching your own death.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, for the dying person, there is no death. The death concept only occurs for the onlooker. For the dying person, he is actually passing out of that physical frame and carrying on. That's why they describe a tunnel of light. You know, if you study the typical NDE, near death experience, they describe they are moving now through a kind of tunnel. At the end is a bright light, and then somebody guides them through that light into some other realm, and they are very happy in that state. They also get that experience. So you see, you have sort of an inkling, as it were, what the subtle body means. When we say death is just the separation of the Annamaya Kosh, the physical sheath, from the rest of you, this is what happens in the near-death experience. You are carrying on. The physical frame is left behind. Now your mind, your experiences, your sanskars, your memories, and the karmic baggage, the karma phal, everything goes with you, and that actually takes you to where you deserve to go. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there's a graphic picture of the you can say state of death and the dying man. What does he experience? So like an ND is being unpacked, and there they will tell you that at the last point he actually graphically sees all the events and the intent behind each of his actions at the last moments of his life. When the pranmaya kosh is, as it were, moving out, it snaps the annamaya kosh from the rest of you, the manomaya kosh, vijnanamaya kosh, and anandamaya kosh. And when the snapping is happening, it happens slowly. See, we live also in, as the prana is distributed in the body, and we die also by degrees. So when this process is happening, what exactly happens in the human mind is, you are given a glimpse of all your actions of this lifetime. Page after page, you see what you actually did and what you thought you did, and the intent behind each action. The intent, motive, everything becomes very clear to you. So then it's a kind of justification to where you are going. So you see, this was your intent, and that's why this will be your fate. This equation is made clear to you at the moment of death. And when the pranmaya kosh completely snaps and the annamaya kosh is separated, the physical frame is separated from the subtle body completely, that is what you call death. Then for the dying person, the person who has just died, now he moves on in that subtle body. He moves on into what they call that tunnel and the light and all that, which means he's moving on according to his sanskars and his karma phal to the next realm, what he has earned in his life. So these are real experiences. You see, just like how at present we feel we are really in this body, although we are fundamentally self-aware, we feel this is a house in which you are living. These are clothes which, even the body, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is described like that, vasansi jirani, you're wearing these clothes. And like that, you very well understand the subtle body is moving according to its content. And there also, if there is some awakening has happened to the jiva while you are still in the body, you will understand that I am quite separate from my mind, and the mind is undergoing all these experiences. That awareness also can remain. And if you're fully illumined while in the body, the Jivan Mukta, you are in a state of liberation even after the body falls.
Wow.
Each according to his development.
Thank you for sharing. I'm so happy that we're talking about near-death experiences because it's also a concept that many people are stuck on. And just for our viewers, I wanted to ask that if now that we are aware, for many of the viewers and the people that are watching, that they've had this experience, even though it could be a catalyst, at the same time, do you believe it can also possibly allow you to be stuck in a place? And how should one move past that?
Right. So it can happen that, see, any strong negative sanskar, in the mind can put you into a daze, into a state of you don't know why you are there, into a state of deep confusion at the point of death also, and then you're moving towards darkness and not light. This can happen if we have not worked on our sanskars and our karma.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. If the mind is full of tamas, subtle body includes mind. So that tamasic mind continues with you. It is going to give you negative experiences. That's what people popularly call hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, the narak. See, the concept of swarga and narak, heaven and hell, extreme poles of your own consciousness. You see, the way your consciousness has evolved, developed, you get that kind of an experience. You get that kind of a world, you can say. Worlds of sojourn.
Yeah.
It's all, after all, experience itself means it is of the mind, isn't it? The subtle body is experiencing that according to what it is cultured and nurtured in this life. You just carry on, right now think and see the state of mind you have. Don't think the state after death is going to be very different from that. So here, if we are deeply aware and completely conscious, you will enter light, literally, after death. And here itself, if we are muddled and compulsive, you are going to enter a gray space, if not a dark space.
Right. Thank you for sharing. I also wanted to touch the topic of Maya, the illusory nature of the world. It's central to Vedanta. Could you explain for the audience what Maya is, how and why it arises, and how it affects our perception of reality?
Right. This is the crucial question in Advaita Vedanta especially, because Maya, the technical definition is ya ma kintu pratiyate iti Maya, which is not there but affects you. Affects your mind deeply. That is Maya. So Maya is what is generally called illusion. It's like a veil thrown over our buddhi so that we are not able to see anything clearly. See, what Advaita Vedanta will tell you is, you are the self, but you think you are a body-mind complex. How does this happen? Not knowing reality is bad enough, but you see that reality as something else. That is in addition to not knowing. So Maya does this. It has two powers, avarana and vikshep. Avarana is covering, avaran. And vikshep is projection, giving you another idea of reality. So these two combined together give you a kind of illusory feeling, which means now you're not clear about anything. There's a kind of haze in your mind and you are not able to clearly see the nature of your own being. You are strongly identified with what you are not. And so your perceptions, mentations, cognitions, your emotions, everything is tinged then by that level of Maya. And you think that is the reality. So this concept of Maya is very, very important to understand because, ultimately we are seeing through a lens. And the lens is the mind. The finite mind is interpreting reality for us. If you want to see reality as it is, you must put the lens aside. The finite mind has to be, put aside. Only the trained mind will move aside. So then training of mind is required. Training, purification. You see, the sadhan chatushtay of Advaita Vedanta, you standing on sadhan chatushtay, you get the ability to remove Maya and see reality as it is.
And that's why spiritual practice is very important.
Very important. Yeah. You can never bypass that because I'm telling you, the mind will not move aside. A tamasic mind will obsess you. It won't, it's not going to give you any level of clarity. And it won't move aside to reveal reality.
Yeah, no, and it's just without your spiritual practice, that monkey mind will constantly be troubling you and will not allow you to see and put that lens aside, like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
According to Vedanta, what is the cause of this original ignorance, avidya, that veils the self? If we were already pure awareness, why did we choose, in a sense, to forget our true nature and fall under the veil of ignorance?
Beautiful question. So you see, according to Vedanta, there is no cause to Maya, but there is an end to it. You can't, because if you ask for a cause, you will be establishing Maya. Maya is a veil thrown over your buddhi. Sort of. It is, see, whatever is the cause for illusion or non-clarity, you see deeply, you'll understand it is only that the buddhi is somehow not being able to reflect consciousness. Somewhere it is like, hazy. Now, instead of trying to find the cause for Maya, which does not exist actually speaking, because ultimately there is only Brahman. In its light, everything of all of this is happening. So you can't try to find a cause for ignorance. Just see that you can remove that ignorance just by making your buddhi shine bright. And the way to do that is again Vedantic inquiry, investigation, and that sadhan chatushtay, purification of mind. That removes the ignorance automatically. But you can't try to go to the cause of ignorance, because actually speaking, it doesn't exist. Only Brahman exists. It appears in so many ways. When the buddhi doesn't have the capacity to reflect reality as it is, it will, even Maya, you will invent a concept of Maya. Why is it I can't see reality as it is? Because there's Maya over it. That's why you see the technical definition is Ya Ma, which is not there, but appears to be there and deludes you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So don't try to find a cause for it, but rather see how can I get that perfect clarity of buddhi, or what is called dhi shakti. Ultimately, this is what you will find. There is no mind even. There is no continuity to your thought process. You are trying to give a context to your thought process and positing a mind, which does not exist. There is no such receptacle to the thought process. Only awareness is. And that reflects in whatever you are calling thought or emotion, whatever the content of the mind. And then you are trying to think there is a receptacle to that. So there is actually speaking, mind is a phantom. And the one who sees this in real first-person experience is the self. Only awareness is the continuum, not mind. Check it out right now and see, is your thought process ever a continuum? Never. All the time changing. It's always changing. It's Prakriti. It is Chanchala. Prakriti is always Chanchala. But your awareness?
Unchanging.
Unchanging. And in case your mind tells you, no, sometimes I feel unaware, that is also an interpretation of your finite mind. It is not the reality of your experience. Because even to detect the absence of something, you require consciousness.
That's true. That's true. And for people that are stuck in the mind, you mentioned that the purification of the mind is so important.
Yes.
For that, I wanted to bring upon the topic of meditation. We talked about this previously in our podcast as well, the last time we did it, and received a lot of attraction, and people were very much interested in meditation. Could you explain in detail the science of mantra, how chanting affects consciousness and even brain function?
Oh, that's what we have been dealing with quite a lot. Because people are asking about the power of mantras.
Yes.
See, to enter a meditative state, you require preparation. Meditation is your best defense to all these innumerable modern day distractions. All kinds of distractions, addictions, and the wilderness of overstimulation which you face today. So for all this, meditation is the way out of all this. If you want to truly meditate, you must have a firm grasp over this, what we call the state of utter clarity of mind and the no mind state. Understanding these concepts are very important. Meditation means you so focused your attention that the attention dissolved in its source. You so focused your attention that finally attention dissolved in its source. Now, that is why the object of your meditation has to be divine. Otherwise, this will not happen. That's why we say meditation on God, either Sagun Sakar aspect or Nirgun Nirakar aspect. See, there are different types of meditations. Meditation on a divine object, on a divine symbol like Om, or on the form of God, on the name of God, or it can also be a process meditation where you are meditating actually on eye focusing on the object, this process. Or finally, it can be a completely inward turned mind. I am just focusing on Nirgun Nirakar Brahman. Any of these meditations you can try out. Usually, you have to be initiated into a technique to enter a meditation. Don't pick it up from the internet and that way. Just information you can pick up from the internet. But the actual technique, you have to be initiated into it. And one great technique for meditation is what is called Japa. What you are asking me about, the power of mantras. If you keep doing jap of a mantra, you will automatically enter the meditative state. Because I told you, complete focus on one thing, to such an extent you reach the no-mind state. That is the meditative process. So what you are doing when you are chanting a mantra is, the science of Mantra Shastra is a very great thing, I'm telling you. Recently, we have released a video on that. If you wish, you can watch the video on Vivek Vani YouTube channel. And it's called All About Japa. So there, I have put slides in that video to show you the actual process, what happens through Japa. Japa is that process where, first of all, you concentrate on the heart center and you start repeating a mantra. You can do it mentally. Some people even, there's lip movement, upamshu, or sometimes they even say it out loud, vaikhari. Usually it is done mentally. When you go on repeating the mantra, it's a certain technique, an upasana technique. You are concentrating on the heart center, maybe imagining the illumined deity there and chanting the mantra in your mind. Now what happens by this is, there is something called Chit Shakti within us. It is your pranic energy which is concentrated at the heart center. That is called Chit Shakti. That prana or that vital force which is capable of yielding Chit, the highest consciousness, that is Chit Shakti. That gets awakened when you use a technique like this. And the mantra has intrinsic power. It is called the Vachak Shakti of the mantra, which means the Bijakshara, which indicates a particular deity, has inherent, the power of the deity is present there. And the Guru Shakti also is present. So you see, it's a combination of a lot of power. So it can put the mind down. This kind of a combination, as you go on repeating the mantra, this Chit Shakti and Vachak Shakti unite. And then it ushers you into a state which can only be described as the consciousness of the deity. So it leads to realization of the deity. This is the science of Mantra Shastra, which is actually telling you, you can overcome the tendencies of the mind, the vagaries of the mind, attain full concentration just by repetition of the Japa mantra. Holy Mother Shri Sharda Devi used to say this. She used to say, Japat Siddhi, Japat Siddhi, Japat Siddhi, which means just through Japa, you can attain realization. If you do it with that nishtha and the perfect technique and a mantra taken from an authorized guru, because it's all about Shaktipat finally. It's a transmission of Guru Shakti which arouses your Chit Shakti, and Vachak Shakti of the mantra gets combined and realization happens. It's a solid technique. In fact, it's the most important upasana technique for both bhaktas and for, our order also uses this as the most important upasana technique. A mantra is usually given to initiates. And the practice of the mantra leads to the highest consciousness. So practicing mantra is important.
No, I totally resonate with that. It is very crucial. I watched the video that you mentioned. I will make sure to, for the viewers, that we'll mention it in the description as well, for them that are watching till this point. But yeah, I recently got initiated and I've been doing my mantra very diligently, very seriously. And you are right. I'm so happy that you mentioned that aspect, that the attention, the focus of attention that you put on the mantra, that gradually will dissolve into the source.
Yes.
Such a beautiful way of explaining it. I'm sure that the audience will resonate with it. Thank you so much.